Greetings from Dystopia, episode 195, playing catch-up. The next couple episodes I'm going to spend some time catching up on long-standing questions or things I said I would come back to, including bread stuff. Probably do that. It's Saturday or Sunday. We'll do some Irish soda bread, and I'll walk you guys through the no-knead bread, which is actually amazingly simple, but had to run over to the big box store and pick up sanding block. Can't find my box of sandpaper. I had a box of mixed sandpapers, some mixed grits, and I can't find it, so it's got to be over in storage. One of these days I'll get all my stuff in one place. But paint department at the hardware store did have a pretty cool little block. It's a sanding block, one of the foam ones, but it's a mix. Two different grits, 180 and 220, I think, or 180 and 250. Perfect. So yeah, I'll go get that. I needed that for the next part of this video, so picked up another one. I don't know that I'll need it today, but I went ahead and picked it up, so I had it. Today I'll do Chris's alcohol stove and just show you the basics. Some of that video is already recorded, so if you notice a slight change in the video, that's why. I got started on it and then realized, oh crap, I don't have any, fiberglass batting. But anyway, I'm gonna head back and start on the bench, and then I'll see you guys in a little bit. Well now, isn't that special? I went through and made the entire stove only to find out that my recorded video from the bench cam is all, I don't know, it's all garbled up and herky-jerky. So anyway, I will create a second stove, but there is stove number one completed. So it takes 24 hours for the epoxy or the gasket maker to seal. So we'll do a test burn on this tomorrow. I'm going to grab 2 more cans and make us another one. Oh, doesn't that figure? The video's not right. The framing because of the tripod. But I'll stay and work within the confines of this area. Alright, so the things you're going to need to make your alcohol stove. 2 cans, some fiberglass batting, gasket maker, a little pair of pliers of some type, something sharp to cut with. You could also use a compass with scribe to set your height, Sharpie to make some marks. And yeah, again, something to cut with. Yeah, so let's just get started. It's going to be the easiest way to do this is just start. Soda cans, they can be a beer can. In this case, I'm using Arizona tea. Sorry, I think that's the right way. I'll have to figure this out and edit which way is up. I think towards me is up, so that should be readable now. Doesn't matter. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, just because it makes it easier to do it now rather than when the can is torn up. I'm trying to get the penny. Oops, I got to get into the video, don't I? Alright, so I tapped the can a few times to try and get the penny roughly centered in the bottom. And I just make a little dot around it so I know roughly where it sits. And then now I'm going to come down into the center bottom of the can. I'm going to draw my center hole. Oops, I'm just going to make an equal X over the hole. And I'll show you in a minute what we're going to do there. And then I'm going to make a series of marks around the edge of the can. Each time, this doesn't have to be perfect, but the more perfect you get, the better your heat distribution is going to be around whatever it is you're cooking. So I'm gonna, let's see, that'll give me 4, 8. So between every one of these, I'm going to put another dot. And this will give me, these could have been all dots. I'm just switching it up to show you, to make it more visually obvious what I'm doing. So now as I go around, I'll have 16 outer jets. I will have a hole in the center of this X and a hole on each corner, on each outer point of the X. And those just become your fill holes. Alright, so let me do this and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so now you can see I've gone through and made all of my holes around the can. It is much easier to do it before you cut this can down. So just kind of keep that in mind. This is really one of the first steps you want to do is cut your holes in the can. I don't remember if I said it or not. I used a push pin. When I used to batch build these things, I had a drill bit in a Dremel, and I would just, just cut right through them. It makes them a lot quicker. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to start cutting our cans down. I mentioned in the one video where I talked about this that I actually had a jig built, several jigs built. And if you can think of it this way, so right now I'm just going to use this piece of wood. The jigs were built using these mini utility blades because of the screw holes. So I would set the blade, at a cutting depth off of it. Obviously it's a much smaller blade, but you get the general idea. And then it was screwed into place on the board so it wouldn't slip. I cannot find those yet, so they're probably in storage. So for right now, I'm going to use a larger blade and just hold it in place. Height can be whatever you want it to be within reason. Think about your size. I've seen some people use a roll of electrical tape as the height. I find that is to be too small and not hold an ounce of alcohol, or 2 ounces if you need to do a longer boil. So I've settled on 1.25 inches as my height, and I got lucky in this sign that I have. It was a gift from somebody years ago, or not years ago, just a few years ago. It says, "Wishing I was fishing." But the back side of it is perfectly good for this, and it's exactly 1.25 inches high. So basically, I won't make you guys sit through this whole thing. I will cut the halves, but the idea is you're going to come in. Can you see that? There you go. You're going to come in with the can and just, if I can get my finger where you can see the blade, and you're just going to turn it at that height you need until the blade starts to catch on the can. And you'll know when you start to pierce the edge of it, you'll feel it kind of hang on the can. So let me finish this cut and I'll show you the actual separation. Okay, so now I've cut through the can for the most part, but you can just kind of push it in gently once you've scored through the can. And again, the idea is you want it to just come apart. You don't want to have to tear it. You're going to save yourself a lot of work in the long run. Whenever I get the can apart the first time, very quickly I'll put on just a piece of sandpaper. Give it a few turns and then run the edge of the can all the way around. There's a little bit of water in that one still. I rinsed the cans out, but all right. So that's one part done. Let me cut the other half. All right. That should now get us apart. That one spot might need a little bit of help, but let's see if it goes from the other direction. There you go. And with a little bit of help, that one worked out fine. Again, back to the sanding block. All right, I don't need that anymore. Let me get that piece of wood out of the way. Okay, so now we have our two halves of the stove. We have the top half and the bottom half. It just feels funny because this is my second time through doing this, but it's all right. There are two schools of thought for joining these together. School of thought number one is to press it over another can. While I've found that works very well, it's difficult to get them apart sometimes, even with the holes in them. So, the other school of thought is to take your bottom half, right? That's the half with no holes. And this is where that works out really well using the Arizona iced tea can, because you get this green line, this darker green line. And I use that as my set point, and I just go in about every quarter to so inches, and I'm just giving it a slight twist. I forgot the exact term of that. Okay, now we're at the point where our fiberglass can go into the bottom of the can. I just give it a 180-degree turn because this is not, ever a perfectly square cut. So then you make sure that your wicking is evenly embedded. And I just try to give it that extra little push down in there. Now, my addition to this is using high temperature gasket maker. It doesn't matter what brand you use. I'm not brand specific. Just make sure it's rated at 600 degrees. Wow, that tip cured up a little bit since I started this. There we go. Just turn it a little bit where you can see it. All I'm going to do is run a thin bead just somewhere along that blue line. So what you want to happen is you want it to catch just a little bit. There's a lot of different thoughts as to why this makes the stove perform better. I believe it just prevents a side draft from coming up the sides of the can into the lid. To me, it also provides a safety buffer. If you're using the stove and you happen to tilt it while you're moving it, prevents any alcohol from coming out the bottom of the stove. So now we have these together, or I should say sealed with our silicone, and we're just going to slowly, as evenly as possible, compress these two cans together. See, now here I have a little dimple. All right, that's going to make that a little more difficult to compress. So let me just wipe this extra silicone off of there. And I'm going to take my little board. Where's my high spot at? Right there. Actually, I might be able to just tap that down a little bit. The idea here is I don't want to end up tearing the aluminum, so I'm trying to be, yep, that got it. Need to come down just a little bit right there. And there we go. We're just eyeballing it to make sure that the can is as squared up top and bottom as possible. And that's it. One penny stove. Because we use this gasket maker, you need to allow these 24 hours for the gasket maker, the silicone, to cure. Again, this is a high temperature 600 degree rated silicone. So we're going to let these cure up, and tomorrow we'll do a burn. Alright guys, see ya. Alright, well, it just dawned on me that half the time I forget to do an ending when I'm recording on the bench. So I'll do it right now. Hopefully that was educational and maybe a little entertaining. I know some people say my delivery is very dry when I'm on the bench, but I've had that complaint at work too, because I'm very dry, very straightforward, you know. Anyway, so hopefully you learned something anyways. That's it for today, guys. Be good, be well, wear a mask if you have to, stay smart, be strong, stay mighty, and I'm turning the corner. Alright guys, we'll see you.